Hey guys, back, and I wanted to make this because it's been in my head for a while, but as you know, I work night shift, so there's no goddamn time really for me to make videos except for weekends. But I will say I'm on vacation for the week, so there's time for this now. And something I was thinking is, it came to Pokemon again, since the last time I made a video was on Pokemon. Also, just know this video will be posted on both the main channel and the second channel. It'll be both on Jordan Dill and JDTV. And for the video on the main version on the main channel, they're going to be the same damn thing, really. But I will be putting a link, if I can remember this time, in the description for the sub channel. Or I'll just have a pinned comment that I'll make. Anyway, a main topic with Pokemon fans, and this is again about the show, is always discussing shipping of Ash Ketchum. Who would Ash fall in love with? Who would he end up with at the end? And now that he is no longer the main character, it's always now fun to think of who he's with now. Because he's no longer the main character, and people, I don't know if it's just me, I posit a lot of people now headcanon that after his time with the series ended, they finally had him age, or he finally aged within his show. You know, it definitely was hinted at in some shows that he was growing up. But weirdly, and I also understand why, the main two ships that are always in a feud is Amore shipping, the best ship in my opinion, and Poke shipping. My first video was a talk about Ash-centered ships, and I'll say this again about Poke shipping. It is not my style of a ship, and I do not discredit anyone for shipping Ash and Misty. But I will say this, and this is coming from a guy who, up until the end of Kalos, has binged every single episode of the main show. I say that because of a side thing. There was a spin-off series around Hoenn, I believe, Pokemon Chronicles, where it focused on Brock, Misty, and Tracy a lot of the time. And a bunch of other side characters always made an appearance, but it was never an Ash show, so I never really watched it. Except, well, okay. It was a three-parter I watched of Chronicles, and it was Legend of Thunder. It featured the game characters from, I believe, Gold. I watched that three-parter, and I remember wondering where the hell Ash was, and blah, blah, blah. I've watched anything that had to do with Ash, I've watched it up until the end of Kalos. As I mentioned in the previous video I made, I didn't watch Sun and Moon because that art style just infuriated me. And also, just granted, Ash was a monster in that league, or in that region. Rarely ever losing matches. He rarely lost matches and was still good at battling. I just hate it, and granted, was after how he is also going against what I said in that first video. I guess headcanon versus what really looks like. After what happened in college, he is kind of granted for being a little more goofballish because he just went through so much shit. I just do not like how Ash looked in Sun and Moon. I don't like how he looked. The fit that they gave him, it was fine for the beach scene, but coming off that sharp blue vest jacket, just a stupid white and light blue shirt. Yeah, it works for the beach, but when I think Ash, I don't think that. Again, battles, almost everything about Sun and Moon is cool. I just hate that fucking art style. Again, getting sidetracked, son of a bitch. Main point of this, Poke shipping and Amore shipping. That feud is stupid to me. It is beyond stupid. Reasons. When you re-watch shows through seasons, sometimes you miss stuff, sometimes you scenes. I could safely say, when it comes to the original Pokemon, first off, hot take, a majority of it is carried by nostalgia. I'm going to get so much hate for that comment, but I truly think, I'm not saying it's bad, obviously not. I'm not saying it's a bad show. I'm just saying that it is carried by nostalgia. Because yes, people love how much of a smart-ass little bitch Ash was in the first 2 seasons. Or how much of a savage little jackass he was. I don't really like that Ash. I like how Ash was and granted, my first introduction of Ash was Diamond and Pearl, which will come back later. So, whenever I think of original Pokemon, it makes sense for what it is. Him starting off and thinking he's the best and just kind of really prove it. But the show never really helped showcase that Ash will be a future world champion. His battling was... Okay, he was still carried by plot armor through a lot of the shows. There's no ever denying that. But there was still that semblance that Ash had the skill for it. He had the skills, he had the strategy, he had planning. He knew what he was doing. The original series, and yes, you can make the argument that it's a kid starting his journey, so he's going to be a fucking idiot. I'll make that exception for the first couple episodes. I will accept that he doesn't know what he's doing for a little bit. But after so long, after so many battles, to still act like how he was acting, it just kind of got annoying. Granted, obviously I enjoy the show. I have to constantly say this because of fucking idiots. But also rewatching the show in the first season, it is criminally obvious. Fuck. My brain is not working, as you can see a lot of the time with how I'm stumbling over more words than normal. Misty had no romantic feeling toward Ash, ever. But you can, and people say, oh, but what about Pokemon 2000 when she was clearly jealous? Here's my thing. If you have to go to a movie which are more than often never considered canon, because they never have references to the movies, and they never talk about, and they never have reoccurrences where if they meet a legendary again, they remember Ash. They remember Misty, they remember Brock, they remember what happened. That never usually happens when you see legendary Pokemon in the show and legendary Pokemon in the movies. Doesn't usually happen. So again, if your main claim, or one of your big claims, is that she was jealous of Melody in the second movie, well, I'm gonna have to argue big time with that shit. There are always other people who claim on the Pokemon shipper side that the Amore shipping is so one-sided as hell when it's definitely not that one-sided comparing them or watching it back. When it comes to Poke shipping, I always look at the relationship that Misty and Ash had. I've made comments about this, I've made jokes about this plenty of times. In other videos, I positive reference this idea. Misty and Ash were more big sister, little brother. Since Misty knew what she was doing, she was an ace battler because she was a fucking gym leader. So she obviously knew a lot more than Ash, even though she was also immature. And people saying, oh, but Ash acts as most normal when he's with Misty. Yeah, the same way a brother acts differently when he's with other people than with his sister. The way Ash acts with Misty proves that it's more of a sibling thing. Because think of it. Think how if you have a younger sibling, think about how you act with them. I don't care if you're a big sister and you have a little brother. If you're a big brother and you have a little sister, it doesn't matter. Think about how you are with them, say a crush you have, or your buddy, your best friends. It's very much different in interaction. there's this point. The fact that Misty clearly was infatuated with other people that weren't Ash. And pause that. Okay, we'll get back to restarting this. Oh wait, no, that turned red, you dumbass. Brain ain't working, fucking hell. Anyway. And that's all you really got to say on poke shipping. And that dumbass, it's very clear that she never was into Ash that way compared to certain other girls in that show. In my opinion, the feud that should be the main feud of Pokemon shipping when it comes to Ash Ketchum is Amore shipping and Pearl shipping, Ash and Dawn. There was so much, if I'm going to compare Poke shipping and Pearl shipping for the second, Pearl shipping, Ash and Dawn had so much more chemistry with each other. It was the first time where it didn't feel like it was just fans seeing weird little moments of Ash just being a protective and heroic style person. Like it kind of is with May, another shipping that I definitely put above Misty. It's also clear that others think about what others think about those two. Not just, and you should say it's them being friends and best friends, but and the spoken for character being a dick, key thing, Kenny. If you watched Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, you know who Kenny is. And for those who don't, allow me to explain. Kenny is a childhood friend of Dawn's. I use this because Kenny was one of those characters where he was her friend, but he more often than not made fun of her. Especially since he was the one that created the nickname Dee Dee. I honest to God don't fucking get it. The story is that when they were little kids, Dawn was playing and goofing around with a Plusle and Minun and got zapped and her hair got all frizzy like it normally is a running joke with her in the show. Maybe it's just me. I don't get how staticky hair leads to Dee Dee as a nickname. I don't know. But almost every time Kenny came onto the scene with Ash, Kenny seemed to get a little extra annoyed with him. You could say it's because Kenny had a crush on Dawn, which I do believe is the case. But it also is a thing that it's jealousy of Ash and Dawn. No one in Misty's life could say that shit. The only thing that came close was her sister saying that if it wasn't for Team Rocket, Ash would have beaten her at the battle. Anyway, moving on. Other points. While me and Ash, when it came to contests, this is a big one to me. I can always tell that Ash gives more of a shit with something when he puts time away from his training to go to others. Example for this. Granted, Misty didn't have anything to do with any kind of contest and anything else. May, he rarely stayed for her contests. I'm saying he didn't. He definitely did go to her contest and vote for her. But there were definitely some moments and episodes where Ash would not go to the contests to train for his gym battles or his Frontier Challenge. Also, just a little side note about Hoenn. The Frontier Brain run of Pokemon Advance is so much better than the main Pokemon League in the Hoenn region. I'm not speaking on games, I'm speaking on the anime. The run with that Frontier Brains was such a better story. To me, the only thing I can ever remember from gym battles with Hoenn is his battle with Norman, since that's the one that kind of had the most run with it. And of course, Max being a little bitch. I don't like Max. Other cases with Ash. When it came to Dawn, I can't remember one time where Ash didn't blow off the contest. Hell, they helped each other. The spin move that Pikachu used that Ash used against Rourke in his first gym battle I can't remember who used it first, but Ash and Dawn shared that move. Same with the, I can't remember the name they gave it, but the spinneroonie defense move that Ash and Dawn always used, that Paul then intimidated. What the fuck? My brain keeps going to intimidate. Imitated, there's the fucking word. Imitated during their battle in Sinnoh. Also, while May did cheer on Ash in battles, Dawn took it a step further by dressing up in his own personal cheerleader. Obviously, they couldn't get away with it today, but I do wish during Ash versus Leon, she did bust out that old costume. I feel like that would have been a good little callback for Diamond and Pearl fans. To have her wearing that old cheerleader stuff. But yeah, what's other ones that showed Ash and Dawn? If we were, oh, here's one. Since if we're bringing up movies, who was the first one to go after Dawn in Guillotine and the Sky Warrior when Dawn was pulled into the mirror world, or not mirror world, reverse world? It was Ash. During Rise of Darkrai, who saved Dawn from falling to hell during the Battle of Dialga and Palkia? Ash. Again, I'm positive people who constantly move the goalposts, like Australians during the Olympics, will say that, oh, it's just Ash being heroic and all that shit. But yeah, when it's toward Misty, it's different. That doesn't make any sense to me. Ash and Dawn definitely, I will always say this. I'm a filthy multi-shipper of Ash Ketchum. I throw that fucker around like Bruce Wayne. Here's the thing. When I'm not shipping Ash and Dawn as a couple, I definitely put them as, I always have a sibling thing in characters. How I said Misty and Ash are big sis, little bro. Ash and Dawn I put on as twins, same age, and they help each other. I also did a bunch of topics. I'll put this later in the video. Talk about this later. I'll just say all of these two. Ash and Dawn were twin siblings, helping each other out, and what's the fucking word? Reciprocating the feeling. Ash and May, I always saw as little sister, big brother. Then you had the annoying third wheel, the small, youngest in Max. God, I hate that little bastard. And then came Iris. Okay. We all can agree that Black and White was arguably the worst season of Pokemon created. It was the worst. Nothing beats the shittiness that is Black and White. I think of that series. And when it comes to their characters, they're a Brock ripoff of Silent, but more. Am I allowed to say flamboyant, kind of? And then it's almost like Black and White was trying to be the first show, because they had Ash acting like a little dumbass like he did back in Kanto. Problem is that worked in Kanto that can't work in Unova, especially. I'm still in the neighborhood, so I don't want to fully scream. My main problem with how they wrote Ash is this is after he finally defeated Paul, a character that Ash had never beaten before. Think about that. Also, that's why I say Paul is his greatest rival. Aside from the classic two sides of the same coin analogy, I believe Cynthia, no, it was Reggie. Reggie gave it to him, I believe. Ash never defeated Paul until where it mattered most, the Sinnoh League. And then after that, we get to the semis with Ash versus Tobias. Ash taking down 2 legendary Pokemon. Now, granted, here's where you could say also that movies are, well, they always have other legendaries, so I guess that's also something you could say about the, whatever. Fuck that shit. Ash taking down a guy who went through all 8 badges in every round of the Sinnoh League, using only a Darkrai. Taking down fucking 80% of Ash's roster, leaving only Sceptile and Pikachu. Ash's Sceptile also is an ace that does not get the respect I believe he deserves. That guy pulled so much weight through series. And beating a Darkrai is definitely the tip of his cap. And then Pikachu taking out a Latios. Granted, he took himself out, but still, Ash beat Latios. So let's think about this for a second. You have Ash go through his hardest rival and a guy who is broken beyond all hell. Oh, okay. Just another quick side thing. Every fanfic I read that features Tobias in it always make him out as this rich kid entitled douchebag. Or they have him as the villain in their stories, masterminding something, or as being a complete straight up dickhead. That's not Tobias. That's how we view him. Because having a Darkrai and a Latios, and God knows what fucking else is on that goddamn team. But never once did Tobias act like that. He was just a stoic character. He even had respect for Ash after the battle, hoping for a rematch. Or like to battle again. So, there's a thing. Tobias wasn't a dick. He just had strong Pokemon. Here's my thing. Ash was the smartest he was during the Sinnoh League. For the fact that he brought in old Pokemon of his. My thing is, knowing that you're going after a guy who uses a damn Darkrai and used it for the entire Gym Challenge and the whole Sinnoh League, why the fuck would you have Torkoal on your team? I love Torkoal. He's actually one of my favorite fire-type Pokemon. I would never use him in that battle. I would definitely use Infernape. Also, Ash's teams were very much thought out, I feel like. But it just wasn't good enough for Tobias because he didn't think through. Sceptile and Pikachu were good choices. Obviously, with Sceptile and Pikachu as a given. If I were to give him any team specifically for that match, I would have used Sceptile, and I'm going to include the two you obviously used. Sceptile, Pikachu, and for the remaining 4, I would have given Liza a call and gotten Charizard. I would have made a call and gotten Primeape back. There's a damn thing to talk about. Primeape, Bulbasaur. You disrespect Bulbasaur, you get the hell out of here, bro. We don't disrespect Bulbasaur around here. And for his last Pokemon, okay, he would definitely have he would always use one of his birds. So I'd use Staraptor. I will argue also at this point, Staraptor next to Talonflame is his best flying type Pokemon. Staraptor and Talonflame were on different fucking levels. Anyway, that's the team I would have given Ash for that battle. Probably would have got a lot better or had a better chance at setting up the Pokemon he did. And where would I get distracted? Just saying that Tobias was a character that was just written in to beat Ash and the king of that category. No fucking clue. Oh yeah, Black and White. This originally was just a talk about the true shipping rivalry that should be happening with Pearl shipping and Amore shipping, and just once again has just deteriorated into me talking about Pokemon. I don't know. It's fucking. You know me. I get distracted like hell. I don't know why I paused it. Also, I'm so shocked that this road is actually open. It was so long that it was closed. Ash and Dawn definitely had the most chemistry, aside from one-off character that did clearly have a crush on him. Like, this is one that I love. Actually, I'll give two examples. One from Hoenn and one from Sinnoh as well. From Hoenn, Annabelle, the salon maid in Frontier Brain. And I think it was Sinnoh. Sinnoh, I believe, debuted Looker, correct? That's where Looker came in. Was it Sun and Moon? No, not Sun. Was it? Fuck. Which game had the return of Annabelle, but they gave her that description that she forgot who she was, or she had some kind of case of amnesia? I don't remember. I just know that happened in a game. I think that would have been cool also to adapt into the show, and I think that would have been used for fun writing, since it's clear it was definitely said, not just hinted at by fans, it was said that Annabelle had something for Ash, felt something for Ash. So, Sinnoh was Angie, if you remember that chick. She was a main character within the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl summer camp. Ironic, isn't it? She developed feelings. Originally, she did not like Ash, and they were kind of rivals, eventually becoming friends. Then one instant happened, and Angie developed seemingly feelings for the guy. I mean, according to her parents, she non-stop talked about him after she came home from the camp. Fun. Either way, those two characters, well, okay, maybe Angie's definitely more of a speculation, but Annabelle is a character that clearly did have feelings for him. Problem with Annabelle is she was only given maybe 5 or less episodes to work to develop chemistry with. Dawn had 3 seasons. In each season, it definitely felt like these two have chemistry. These two like each other. These two are a couple. Then Unova happened. Oh, right. It was a sibling analogies. Fuck me. Yeah, Iris is just, to me, that cousin that always would fuck with you at family gatherings. I don't like Iris at all. Oh, right, because I was comparing. God damn it. Wow, okay, my brain got sidetracked within sidetracking because I just now remembered what the hell I was talking about. Comparing the fact that Black and White was kind of written to be another first series for fans, I guess. Forgetting that fans will always watch, but it felt like Black and... I keep saying Diamond. I want to say Diamond when I mean Black and White. It was written to be like another first story of Ash. It was stupid, and I say we just forget that Black and White and Unova fucking happened. Anyway, Jesus, the whole thing just to say. Now, moving on to Serena. Serena's introduction was that she remembered him. That she had something for him within 3 episodes or some shit. We were seeing that Serena felt something for Ash. And this is where also Seabloom comes into this kind of video. First off, if you don't subscribe to Seabloom, he is an awesome reactor on YouTube. He even said in these episodes he was watching in Diamond and Pearl that Dawn is the better character than he thought Dawn was a better character. Granted, these are old compared to the fact that on Patreon he had finished both, I believe, both Diamond and Pearl and XYZ. Here's one of the points I made. Introduction of character. When comparing Dawn and Serena as characters, there are a few points I like to think about. One being the introduction of a character. Okay, I'm once again giving... You know what? Scrap the goddamn full-on ship thing. I'll sum it up like this. If there's any two characters that fully love Ash, and you could definitely see them ending up within their arc from mini arcs or one-off episodes, it's Dawn and Serena. They're in the two best Pokegirls Ash ever met and ever traveled with. But let's get on to discussing their characters, shall we? I'll go over some points if I can remember exactly which ones they are, and talk about them. I'm just also going to call this another Pokemon. Fuck. God, my brain is refusing to fucking work. First point, introduction. How these characters were introduced to us as the fans. We know Ash, we know Brock. How are we going to be introduced to these new characters? Dawn's introduction, going to Professor Rowan to get her first Pokemon, to start her journey to being a Pokemon contest champion or grand coordinator. There's the fucking words. Coordinator we were used to with May and her roster of... So, why is my brain doing this to me? Her rogues gallery, I'll coin a phrase. But when it came to May, she wanted to just travel. She just wanted to travel the world and use Pokemon as an excuse for it. She had no care for Pokemon until she met Ash and was actually introduced to Pokemon coordinating because of Ash and traveling with her. Dawn, on the other hand, wanted to be a coordinator because that's what her mom did. Her mom was a coordinator. Her mom was a grand festival champion. So it makes sense also for her to want to follow in her footsteps, and even then the character for Dawn, I'll put that in a later topic. That to me, that's a great introduction for a great character, wanting to follow in the footsteps of a not legendary, but a very famous parent. Serena, introduced by showing us that she... At first, I'll say this little quick topic on character. Serena definitely felt like the more feminine character, being more into beauty, more into baking, all that kind of shit. Nothing is wrong with those types of female characters, in my opinion. Move, you little fucker, move! Squirrel on the damn road. Anyway, there's nothing wrong with characters who are like Serena, who really, until recently with Ash, didn't have that big a dream of performing, of battling, anything. There's nothing wrong with those characters. I just want to make that quick point. Both Dawn and Serena are very fun characters to work with and very believable characters as well. But seeing Serena's introduction being that she is being forced to do something by her mother, aka Rhyhorn Racing, that she doesn't like, being seemingly smart, silver-tongued, smart mouth, and most important, and the biggest one, knowing who Ash is, I give the point clearly to Dawn. She had the better character introduction into the show and how we meet as fans, how we see her for the first time. Another point I stated was their team, their roster. Now, this one was hard for me because I like both their teams of Pokemon. But again, I gave that point to Dawn. Reasoning. And obviously, being a coordinator and a Pokemon performer are two completely different things. But when it came to the roster, and this always did kind of piss me off, Serena only stuck with 3 Pokemon. Her Delphox, at the time Braixen, her Pancham, and her Sylveon and Eevee. We're stuck with those 3 Pokemon. Granted, they're strong Pokemon to use in performances, but it might be a great way to show that someone is a great performer and a great, whether it be Pokemon performing or coordinating, is using a Pokemon not conventionally used within those categories. A great representation of this is Dawn using her Mamoswine. There's actually some people in these gardens today. Pause real quick. Alright, I'm going to say this quietly because there are people around me. I'm at the Shijori Gardens, if you know where that is in Indiana. It's a very cool place. But with Dawn's team compared to Serena's team, as I stated before pausing, Dawn was able to use Pokemon like her Mamoswine, Pokemon that aren't conventionally known for performances, and was able to use him within her contests. Truly, that's also the only one she really used, as far as I know. But it just shows how great she is at also using unexpected Pokemon as a performance. Obviously, with Serena, it'd be hard if her Pancham evolved into a Pangoro. Using a Pokemon like Pangoro in a performance would not be the easiest thing to do, probably, but it's shown that Pokemon that are more brutalist style, Mamoswine, and even Kecturn, Pokemon like that, can perform. Well, Jessie used Yanmega in Carnivine, Pokemon that definitely would not be considered performance-level Pokemon in her contests. And I will say, I do wish Serena did expand her roster a bit. I know the one that people always would say that she should get in like fan fiction stories. One I'm always usually seeing is like an Absol. I would definitely, as someone who loves Absol, I would definitely love that kind of stuff. I also wouldn't mind her catching a flying type or a grass type to oppose the fairy, normal, dark, and fire types that she had. Or to give a grass type, I would probably use maybe Florges, possibly. And for a flying type, I would definitely give her a Staravia, specifically a Staravia, not a Starly or a Staraptor, specifically a Staravia. And maybe a Furfrou just for fuck it, because that's always, that when it comes to performance, like show dogs, it's like one of the most traditional ones are poodles. When you think of dog shows, you'll think of poodles and shit like that. That was another point to note. Here's a point to Serena, and that is importance in the group. I only used one example in the comment I left, and that was the cooking. That being that Serena is a baker, as previously stated, and can cook food as well. So when X and Y gang, with Clement being the de facto chef of the group, if he weren't able to work on the food and work on making their stuff, Serena would definitely be able to get the reins and take over. Meanwhile, on Diamond and Pearl's team, if Brock were to collapse, both Ash and Dawn would have been fucking screwed. I know there was one episode where Brock was sick, so they had to take care. They were in charge of a lot of stuff, and they did all right. It was because Brock had a recipe book, or just a cookbook. Without Brock, those two would have been fucked so hard. I came to the cooking department. But also, I say, Dawn, Ash, and Brock were always closest friends. But when you compare the chemistry, and this is not just couple chemistry with Ash and Dawn or Ash with Serena, I'm looking at full group fucking coherence. I would definitely give that factor to the XY group, Serena. those four felt more put together as a family, almost, than a group of friends traveling together. Again, these are all just my subjective opinions. If you like, it does not matter, obviously, as I said very early in this video, it does not matter if you like Poké shipping, Pearl shipping, Advanced shipping, Ash and Iris, I don't fucking know how to pronounce that goddamn name. Or more shipping even beyond that. If you ship Ash with Lily, Ash with Malo, Ash with Lana, or if you're one of these people, I know, say that rudely, if you're someone who says Ash is gay and you ship him with Brock, Gary, Paul, I'll judge you a bit if you ship Ash with Paul or Ash with Go. There's another video for another time about Go. I said that twice now. But yeah, I definitely give the point of importance of the group to Serena. Next came rivals and enemies. That clearly goes to fucking Dawn. Who did Serena have as a foe or like as a rival? Really no one. In the one, she only had one real rival. I don't really count Shauna. I don't count Shauna as a rival because Shauna was kind of more, she wasn't a rival, but she was, when I think of a rival, I think of something like Ash with Paul or Ash with, I hate him, but I'll count him, Trip. A rival is someone who pushes you. No one ever really pushed Serena in her terms of her performances. Palermo did, but that was because she's an agent looking for someone who's worthy of being the Kalos Queen. So it makes sense for her to want to see better of Serena. That part makes sense. But if it's just someone who's in the same department as you, no one really pushed Serena to an extent as a fucking rival. The only rival she really had was Miette, and okay, I say this as someone who always found it, I always smiled when Miette came on screen, but not because I was expecting good performances, it's because I knew what her character was. Miette's entire character was teasing Serena about her crush with Ash, and always teasing that she would take him from her. Hell, Miette's first episode is saying, if you don't tell Ash how you feel, I'm going to. Granted, I don't think Miette had as a crush as much infatuation with Ash. But kind of like a celebrity crush kind of thing where, considering Ash and Serena, it's more of actual romance. With Miette, it was more just, and even then, it was the first thing. We never really saw that much interaction with Miette and Ash. There was only two real interactions. Her first episode where she asked Ash right to his fucking face if he had someone to take care of him, a girlfriend or a partner. And in the episode, let me also say this: the team who was writing for X and Y fucking knew what they were fucking doing. They knew what they were doing with so many episodes. There was an episode with, and I won't talk about these two specific episodes, but one episode in particular that shows this shit, that she's not a rival but more just an annoyance for Serena's crush, is her saying, one, after Serena cut her hair, Miette asking if something important, big happened in her life. I'm trying to keep my hands off the fucking screen, or fingers. If something big happened in her life, Ash either accepting or not reciprocating her feelings. And then another one where it was a big stake battle, or not battle, performance, she asks Ash the question if her and Serena were to go one-on-one, who would he vote for, since he said he'd cheer both of them on, and he said he'd give his 100% to Serena, and she fucking asked, are you two an item? That's what I'm fucking talking about. There were some hints, I guess, again, if you're a fan and you're looking for this shit, with Ash and Dawn. With Ash and Serena, it was clearly obvious that they were talking about those two being a couple. And for some people, they say Ash didn't reciprocate his feeling. I don't think Ash fully knows what love is, but the closest he understood, mainly because I say it for being part of a family with no brothers and sisters and no dad. in his life, I should say. Ash never had a positive male role model. Ash's real only experience with seeing love was when he was first traveling, with Brock going dumbass every time he saw a woman. So it's very obvious that Ash probably doesn't know what love is, but it definitely felt like when it came to comparing how he also, this is also another topic, Ash interaction. Not importance to him, which was another topic I gave, which is equal. Ash cares about fucking both of them in his fucking eyes. But there was differences with how he truly interacted with them. There were some times where Ash acted more nervous or more not reclusive, but you get what I mean. He didn't act as boneheaded when it came to Serena. And also, this is always a fucking thing, Ash always fought or argued or kind of tried to debate on what they would do first in its city. His gym battle or a contest. There were times where Ash would put his training in his style on the fucking side burner for Serena and practicing for her performances and her actual performances. Ash never does that. So clear, while Ash probably doesn't understand what love is, he definitely acted differently when with Serena. Hell, they went on a date twice. Was it twice, or am I thinking that it's the same damn episode? I think it's the same damn episode. They went on a fucking date. I think even in Japan, and the episode was titled Ash and Serena's Date, or some shit like that. They fucking knew what they're fucking doing. So importance to Ash, I give it to Serena. Or interactions with Ash, I give it to Serena. Importance, it's the same damn thing. And again, I say when it came to their styles, Dawn was a balanced person. She knew how to fight, and she knew how to perform. Serena, she didn't really fight that much. Serena only really fought when it was necessity to her. She was kind of, I won't say she was a pacifist. She was definitely someone who was recluse in her wanting to fight, which again is completely fucking fair. There are going to be people, especially in that kind of universe. You have to think, the universe does not just stop with Ash's BattleNet style. There are going to be people who don't want to battle that much, and Serena's one of them. She battled when it was necessary. Training was one of them. Dealing with Team Flare and Team Rocket, necessary. And Palestine, it's not going to be full of battling or knowing how to battle. So style. Granted, I like both of them, but this is one where I will slimmingly give it to Dawn. By a slim margin, I forgot Amira Park. I give it to Dawn. Now let me think, are there any other topics that I can put these two in? Group interaction, it goes to Serena. She was like a mother figure to. I remember there's a video saying being the mother of the group I found on TikTok. I say she was the concerned mother, the protective mother, and the concerned girlfriend for Ash. But then there is this point I'm going to make. It's aside from shipping and a little bit, the shipping war. There's always people who say you change when you have love. How you act and what you do, you change with love. Or when something like that happens. Ash had changed when he met Serena. My point? Look at Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, and Unova. Failed. Even Kalos failed. But look at where he placed in all of them when he had, and then compare it to when he had Serena with him. Granted, you could also say that Kalos is where Pokemon became an anime, a true anime. I guess people always like to say. Ash went and was the peak version of himself at that time. He made it to the finals. Not the semis, not the quarters, the final battle of fucking the league. and it came up short. Granted, it's bullshit. I would fucking be pissed on that because college should have been his fucking year. But then, fast forward, Serena kisses him as she goes off. And that's another thing. Importance of Ash. Another thing before I start talking about this. Dawn had niches in her style changed and worked around Ash's style. Serena changed completely because of the influence of Ash Ketchum. She didn't have a real dream, but traveling with Ash showed her her dream, showed her the road she wants to go down. Granted, it's also because of the Queen tournament, the final battle with Arya, that she decided she wanted to take up Pokemon performancing. I believe there's also a thing from Palermo that she went to Hoenn to improve herself. But that's a thing. That's another thing. Serena improved herself because of Ash. Because of meeting and reuniting with Ash. If she didn't reunite with Ash, she would still be in Vanderbilt's town. Fuck me. Hating Rhyhorn racing. She'd still be there. If not for Ash, Serena would not be who she was in Journeys. I fight you on this shit. People always like to say that we're canon events because of Miguel O'Hara in the Spider-Verse. Serena changing was the canon event of meeting Ash. But then the most important part happened of this departure. Serena kissed Ash on the fucking lips. If it was a cheek kiss, they would have shown it. They've shown cheek kisses in the past. That kiss was on the lips. And Ash, look at how he acted from how he got kissed by Melody and Latios in the movies. Again, I'm using the movies when I shouldn't be. I can't really think of times where Ash was kissed in the damn show, aside from it being a smoochum or a jinx. Look how he reacted to those kisses versus how he reacted to Serena's kiss. And then there's how he reacted in Aloha. He became he went from runner-up to failure in leagues to the first, and I still say only, Alola region champion. And he took that momentum to the Masters 8 and became the World Monarch champion. He is the undisputed, undeniable world champion in Pokemon. Is Ash Ketchum, the kid from Pallet Town who no one gave nothing to. Well, I shouldn't say that. People get... That's another thing why I say the first season is carried by nostalgia. Ash made it to the league by the gym leaders giving him their badge. Not earning the badge, giving him the badge. It was painful was the first seasons of Pokemon. I'm not saying they were bad, obviously, but they were heavily carried by nostalgia. You might hate me for this, but it's true. It's true. Pokemon for the Indigo League is carried by nostalgia. It just is. Not saying it's bad, obviously, but it is carried by nostalgia. Anyway, God, this video was so fucking weird and chaos. It started out as me just wanting to go into topic of how Serena and Dawn should be the shipping feud that we talk about because it's so clearly those two are the ones. And then I got into other bullshit, and now it's this. There are probably more points I can make on Ash and Dawn and Ash and Serena as a couple. But also, it's all opinionated. It just is also opinionated. Whether you think, like, if you see my topic, you say, yeah, you know, that's a fair point. Or you disagree with me. It's all opinionated, and I welcome debate. I welcome this kind of shit. Anyway, this video was stupid, chaotic, and I don't know where the fuck it went. But I'll end this by saying, once again, Ash and Serena are the it couple of Pokemon. I truly believe that Ash and Serena got together in the time. That's another. When the hell is the jump cut in time between the last episode of Ash Taliko and Horizons. Is there a time gap, or is this like a one day afterwards? Whatever. If it's years into the future, Ash and Serena are a power couple. I fucking bet on that shit. And like I said in the last video, if for a job or just because he didn't stop traveling full time, Ash is a frontier brain. Hope you enjoyed this chaotic shit. See you in the next video.